this video, we are going to discuss about the structure of larger memories. So far, we studied the organization of a single memory chip. For example, a chip of size 2K by 32 or 512 by 8. So like that we explained or we studied. But nowadays, the size of the memory is very huge. So we have to organize a memory that can store more data. So what we can do is, we are organizing the memory chips. That is, smaller memory chips of a particular size will be arranged in a particular manner in order to get larger memory. So next we are going to study how we can structure larger memories. We know that the RAM can be of two types. First one is static RAM, static memory. The second one is dynamic memory. So first we are going to discuss how a larger type static memory system will be organized or it is designed. For that purpose, we are just giving one example. Suppose that we want to design a memory, a static memory of 2M by 32 size. And we are going to make this larger memory using 512 by 8 memory chips. So first point we have to consider is that, or we have to find is that, how many such chips are needed in order to get the larger memory of size 2M by 32. That is, how many rows and columns of such chips are needed in order to generate this much of memory. So in order to find out the arrangement, actually this chip will be arranged in, like an array. So far in the case of smaller memories, we said that the cells are arranged like an array. But here, in order to create larger memories, this type of memory chips, in this example we are just taking this memory chip. So here this memory chip will be arranged like an array. So we want to find out how many rows and how many columns of this chip is needed in order to create this larger memory. So we can, first of all, we can find how we will find out how many rows and columns of such memory is needed. So this is our aim. We want to generate this larger memory, 2M by 32 size memory we want to generate. And which chip is we are using? We are using the chip 512K by 8. First thing is, we know that here, if you are taking this size memory, this will be the row and this will be the column. In this memory chip, that is 512K by 8, this one is the row and this one is the column. So we want to find out the rows and columns of this chip needed in order to generate this much of memory. So the working is very simple. The first thing we have to do is that we divide the row of the required memory with the row of our smaller chip size. That is 2M divided by 512K. And in the same manner, the second one is corresponding row here is divided by this one. That is, you have to find out 32 divided by 8. So the first step is, in order to generate this memory using this memory chip, first thing is you divide the row of this larger memory with this one. That is 2M divided by 512K. This result will give you the required number of rows in the resultant organization. And the column of this one will be divided with the column of the chip size. This will give you the number of columns required in our resultant memory organization. So how you will find out 2M by 512K? In order to find out the result, the simple method is, we know that 2M is equal to 2 into 1M divided by 512K is equal to 512 into 1K. 32 divided by 8, it is very easy to find out the result of this part. So next is how we will find out, how you will represent this one as a power of 2. The 2 we can write as 2 to the power 1. 1M is equal to 2 to the power 20. So we can write the numerator as 2 to the power 1 into 2 to the power 20. The denominator part, that is 512 into 1K, we can write as 512 is 2 to the power 9 into 1K is 2 to the power 10. So into, and we are writing the 32 as 2 to the power 5 divided by 8 is 2 to the power 3. So first we divide this part. We know that the numerator will give you 2 to the power 21. So we know that 2 to the power 1 into 2 to the power 20 is equal to 2 to the power 21 divided by 2 to the power 9 into 2 to the power 10 is equal to 2 to the power 19. So now we got this value as 2 to the power 21 divided by 2 to the power 19. And what about the column division? The column part is 2 to the power 5 divided by 2 to the power 3. So what result we will get? This part is the same as 2 to the power 21 minus 90 into or by, I mean in the case of array we are using this one as by in order to specify the order. 2 to the power 5 minus 2 to the power 3, that is equal to 2 to the power 5 minus 3. So this values is equal to 21 minus 19 is 4. So we will get 2 square as row. That much number of rows of that chip is needed. 2 to the power 5 minus 3 is 2 square. This much number of columns we needed. So its result is this part is 4 by 4. So how many the chip is needed? 512K divided by 512K by 8 chip is needed to create this much of memory. We need to arrange this chip in 4 rows and 4 columns. So next we can see the figure. So this is how we got the values. Here each of this chip is 512K by 8 chip, and we know that 4 by 4 arrangement of this chip is needed. That is 4 rows, 4 by 4. 4 rows of this chip will be there, and in each row 4 columns of chips are there. So how like that we will get this arrangement. So the understanding of this arrangement is very important. That is how we are getting this structure is very important. So here we are going to design 2M by 32 memory. That is the entire capacity of the memory now will be 2M by 32. And how we are going to generate this memory? By using a number of 512K by 8 chips. So first of all we want to find out how many rows and how many columns of such chips are needed, and we are using this calculation as discussed here. This calculations are needed. That is the row size of the required one divided by row size of the current chip, the column size of the required one divided by the column size of the required chip, of the chip. So we divide the values, then we will get the value as 4 by 4. That means we need the chip 4 rows, 4 columns, 4 by 4 matrix. That is 4 by 4 matrix means 4 rows of that chip. In each row 4 columns of that chip is there. So the next point is how we can arrange the this entire memory. So first part is that we know that the capacity needed, our required need is we want to generate 2M by 32 memory size. So how many address lines will be there? I said that the row part will give you the total number of address lines required by the entire memory architecture or memory design. 2M is equal to, we already discussed that 2M we can write as 2 into 1M, that is equal to, you will get 2 to the power 21. So 21 address lines are needed in order to select any particular data. But there is a particular style is there. Among the 21 address lines, the higher order 90 lines are needed to specify any particular row in each of this chip. That is, since 512 kilobyte of capacity is there for each chip, only 19 bits are needed to specify row in each chip. So we are only total 21 address lines are there, but only 19 lines are needed by each of the chip in order to specify the row. So for that purpose, A0 to A18, that is total 19 address lines. The lower order 19 address lines are taken, are connected to each of the chip. Then the higher order 2 bits, we said that extra 2 bits are there, only 19 bits, lower order 19 bits are used, connected to the address lines of the chip. The higher order 2 extra lines are there. Actually it is connected to a 2-bit decoder. So based on the value of this input, the decoder will select any appropriate row. So I think you remember the word line in the case of simple architecture. So similar to the word line, here the 2-bit decoder will select based on this higher order address value, appropriate row will be selected. So thus that particular row will be activated, and the value from each of that corresponding cell will be outputted into the corresponding data lines. Here how many data lines are there? 32. That is 4 byte data lines are there. So first each of the cell, each of this chip will output corresponding 8 bit of data. Suppose that its value is, that is the higher order to address A19 and A20 is 0 and 0. That means the first row of chips will be selected. That is, whenever the 0 0 is given to the 2-bit decoder, the first row will be selected, because 0 0 corresponding to this row, 0 1 corresponding to this row, 1 0 corresponds to this row, and the 1 1 corresponds to this row. So if it is 0 0, the first row of chips will be selected. All the chips in the first row will be selected. So the first chip will output 8 bit. The second chip will output the next 8 bit. The third chip will give the result as next 8 bit, and the fourth one, if it is a read operation, the fourth chip is also gives next 8 bits. So total 32 bits will be given by all the corresponding rows in the selected, all the corresponding columns of the selected row. So this is the designing of a single chip. So I said that here each of the chip is of capacity 512K by 8. So in order to, this is the structure of each of the chip. And what about the input needed by each chip? 19-bit address is given to each chip, and each chip will produce 8-bit in output or 8-bit input based on the reading or writing operation. And there is a chip select is there, that is given by the decoder in order to activate appropriate chip. We said that this is a larger memory organization, and here a number of smaller memory chips are there. In order to activate a particular chip, chip select is needed, which is designed by the 2-bit decoder. So the lower order 19 bits can activate any of the rows in the corresponding chip, and the higher order 2 bits are given to a 2-bit decoder, which will work as the chip select, and that will select any particular row. So the corresponding output will be given by by each of the smaller memory circuit or memory circuit, and that is how the higher memory is designed. So its details are given here. You can see the details. This is the meaning, that is whatever I said is written as the PPT. That is, you just want to read the main points. So we said that here we are going to design a static memory system, and our aim is we want to design a 2M by 32, 2M words of 32-bit each means 2M by 32 memory we want to design, and memory can be implemented. We are going to implement this memory using these chips. So the answer of this one, we want to find out how many rows and how many columns of this chip is needed, and we will get this value by doing this work. We will get how many such chips are needed. We said that 4x4 chips are needed. This is the other details, each column in the figure. So as I said, I will show the already I showed the figure. This is a 4x4 arrangement of this chip, that is 4 rows, 4 columns, and we know that 2M, that means 21 address lines are there. But among the 21 address lines, higher order 19 address lines are given to each of the chip. We can see the figure. This one is given to each of the chip. All the 16 chips, to all the 16 chips, this higher order address is given. Then the next topmost, that is the most significant bits are used as chip select. That is a 2-bit decoder. Why we are using 2-bit decoder? Only 4 rows are there. 4 is equal to 4 rows means 2 to the power 2. So only 2 bits are needed as input to the decoder, and based on the value, appropriate row will be selected, and each of the chip will output 8 bits as its corresponding output. And this is the main important, that is, if you are zooming any one of the chip, this is the structure of a single chip in this organization. 19-bit address will be there, output or input, that is corresponding based on, if it is read operation, 8-bit will be given to the address line. If it is a write operation, it will take 8-bit from the data line. and chip select is there in order to activate this chip. So the second part we are going to discuss, as we said, is a dynamic memory system. So we said that the RAM can be of two types. The first one is static RAM and the second one is dynamic RAM. So now we are going to discuss about the second type of RAM, that is called dynamic RAM or dynamic memory system. We know that in modern computers, larger memory will be there, because the larger, if memory size is large, that will lead to the best performance or better performance for a computer system, because inside the memory we can store huge amount of programs or data can be stored inside the memory. And the main advantage is that we can reduce the data transfer between the disk and or memory access. Data access from disk can be reduced if the memory size is very huge. And so far we discussed that static RAM is there and dynamic RAM is there. When compared to both of the RAM, mainly dynamic type of RAM is used as main memory, because the first advantage of dynamic memory system is that high bit density. The second advantage is that low cost, and that is why dynamic memory system are mainly designed for or mainly used as main memory. And we said that there are two types of dynamic memory DRAMs are there. The first one is synchronous DRAM and the second one is asynchronous DRAM. Among them, the synchronous type of DRAMs are widely used as main memory unit, or they are used in memory unit of the computer system, because as we said that the static type of DRAMs are very fast. And the memory chips are normally designed as different or packaged as different memory modules. And each module contains a number of chips. Normally the memory chips will vary from 16 to 32, and they will be mounted on a small board, and they are plugged to the motherboard by using appropriate sockets. And the modules are called single inline memory module or dual inline memory module, depends on the configuration of their pins. So here what we discussed is about the dynamic memory system, dynamic type of RAM. And the designing of the dynamic memory system is also similar to that of the previously one static RAM. But dynamic memory, dynamic type of RAMs, that is DRAMs, are mainly used as main memory because of its high bit density and low cost. And among the dynamic memory, the synchronous DRAMs are most commonly used because they are very fast. And memories are designed as memory modules, that is in order to create larger memory circuits are mounted, that is they are packaged as different memory modules. And each module can contain 16 to 32 chips will be there, and we can call them as SIMM, single inline memory or dual inline memory, depends on the pins, configuration of pins. The next topic we have to discuss is memory system consideration. So as we said, in this unit we studied different types of memory system. That is, we said that RAM is there, ROM is there, different types of ROMs are there. RAM is also divided into two types, static and dynamic RAM. And we studied the advantage and disadvantages of static RAM and dynamic RAM. Here we are considering the important factors, that is which type of RAM memory will be used for our purpose or our application. Actually, the choice of RAM, that is whether we want to use static RAM or whether we want to use dynamic RAM, its selection mainly depends on several factors. That is, for our application, whether cost, we have to consider the factor cost, or whether we have to consider speed is important, or power is important, or size is important. These are the main factors based on which the selection will be made. Suppose that the cost is an important factor. That means if you want to reduce the cost of our memory, DRAM will be used. If speed is our main reason, that is we are giving importance to speed, then we have to use SRAM. And for the power consumption, DRAM will be slower, that is it will take less power. And if size is concerned, that is if you want to develop a memory, we want to design a memory which is smaller in size, then DRAM has to consider. So here the main factor is that if you want to use a memory, that is if we have confusion about which memory we have to use, these are the main factors based on which we can make a decision. That is whether cost is important for us, or speed is important for us, or power is important for us, or size is important for us. And among the two types of memory, the main advantage of SRAM are it is faster, it is more expensive, and it is smaller in size. So as we said, if DRAM is considered, it is lower in, that is speed is less, cheaper and smaller size. So based on our factor, we have to use based on our application, that is to which point we are giving importance, based on that we can use appropriate RAM. And here we have to consider the main advantages and drawbacks of each of this type of RAM. And mainly the SRAMs are huge in size. I mean cost is high and speed is high. That is why SRAMs are mainly used for cache memory, for designing cache memory. And DRAMs are cost is less, speed is less. We are mainly used DRAM in order to design. That is, this type of RAM is mainly used as main memory. So these are the main memory system consideration. So here main point is that which type of RAM we have to use, that depends on certain factors. And SRAMs and DRAMs are two types of RAM available. And based on the factors, we can select SRAM or DRAM. Mainly SRAMs are used for cache memory and DRAMs are used for main memory. The next one or next point is called memory controller. We know that if a processor want to access any data or information, that is any content from the memory, the processor will produce an address. And the number of address lines depends on the capacity of the memory. In most cases, in order to reduce the number of pins, most of the dynamic memories chip will multiplex the address. In dynamic memory design, we consider that the address which is produced by the processor is divided into two parts, that is the row address and the column address. We are doing this one, that is actually we are using the multiplexing. First of all, the row address will be placed, and after that, after selecting the appropriate row, column address will be placed. Why we are doing this one is because in order to reduce the number of pins. We are using a memory controller that will control or that will do all the activities. Actually, as I said, the processor will issue all the bits, that is the address lines contains the entire bit. But among the bit, whenever it is given to the memory controller will produce the multiplexing. That is, first of all, from all the bits, first of all, it will decide the number of rows, that is number of bits which are used to identify the row of the memory cells, that will be given. And after that, it will select the number of column lines, that is the same number of lines are used in order to give the column address. And that is the main advantage of this memory controller. So as we said, in order to reduce the number of pins, the dynamic memory chip used the multiplex address input. That is, the address which receives from the input from the processor is divided into two parts. The first part is called, the higher order address is used to select the row which will be provided first and which will be activated by the RAS signal. The lower order bits are used to select the appropriate column from the selected cell and which is activated by or latched by the CAS signal. And I said that the processor will issue all the bits in order to access a particular bit from the memory. And multiplexing of the address is actually done by a controller which is called a memory controller, and normally the memory controller is placed in between the main memory and the processor. So this is the structure of a memory controller. So memory controller, it is in between the main processor and the memory. It will receive the main information from the processor. Actually, it works like a DMA controller. We already studied. It is not a DMA controller, but it is a memory controller. The processor will place all the address. It will give all the address to the memory controller. The read-write operation, that is whatever may be the operation required by the processor, is also indicated to the memory controller. Then it will give a request to memory controller, and the appropriate clock pulse will be given to the memory controller. And after that, the next task is done by the memory controller. Here the data transfer or the communication between the memory controller and the main memory will be carried out. From the address, it will divide the entire address into row and column address. Then in order to coordinate all the activities, the RAS and CAS signals are issued by the memory controller at appropriate time. Then the read-write request will be forwarded to the memory, and chip select will be done by the memory controller, and the clock is also provided by the memory controller. And after that, the data transfer between the processor and main memory will be carried out. So these are the main points we have to study here. That is about the memory controller. So main points we studied here is about the structure of a larger memory. Two types of memory systems or RAMs are there, the static RAM and dynamic RAM. And we studied with an example how a larger memory will be designed. And after that, in the case of dynamic memory system, here mostly the main memories are implemented by using DRAMs. And we studied that memory modules, SIM, DIMM, like that. Then about the memory system consideration, based on certain factors, all these factors we can decide which type of RAM to be used. And these are the SRAM, its advantage and drawbacks, DRAM, advantages and drawbacks, and SRAM is mainly used for cache memory, DRAMs are mainly used for main memory. And we studied about a memory controller. In order to reduce the number of pins, the multiplexing of the address input will be carried out, and it is done by a controller or a circuitry which is called memory controller, and which will be placed in between the processor and the main memory. Processor will send all the address bits to this memory controller, but the multiplexing will be done by the memory controller. That is, first of all, the higher order bits are used to identify the rows. After selecting the rows, the column address will be given, the lower order column address will be given, and appropriate RAS, that is row address strobe and column address strobe signals are provided by this memory controller. Then about this figure, we said memory controller placed between the processor and the memory. So memory controller will receive all this information from the processor, and appropriate control signals and row address, column address separation will be done to the memory. Then the data transfer between the processor and memory will be carried out. Then the next topic is about the memory hierarchy, and you already studied the memory hierarchy in operating system. And we said that the fastest storage will be processor register, which is a part of the processor. And after that, the cache memory comes. We know that the different cache memories are there, level 1 cache and level 2 cache. First comes the level 1 cache because it is internal to the processor chip. The second type is L2 cache, which is outside the processor. Then the next type of, that is, if you are arranging them based on the size and based on the speed, the next one will be the main memory. Then comes the disk storage and tertiary storage. And this is the hierarchy of memory hierarchy. From top to bottom, the size increases. From bottom to top, the speed increases.